I'll tell you how the Buffalo Bills can beat the number 1 seed Denver Broncos in the playoffs today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number 1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Well, folks, welcome in. It's time to get ready for the Bills' divisional round opponent, the challenges they present, and what the Bills need to do to deal with them. But first, the Bills' injury issues just don't stop. Sean McDermott shared on Tuesday afternoon that wide receiver Tyrell Shavers tore his ACL during the win over the Jaguars and is out for the season. Unbelievable that he was able to finish the game and played a ton of snaps in the second half with a torn ACL. But that's it for Tyrell Shavers. And the Bills' wide receiver room is just gutted right now. Gabe Davis, of course, also tore his ACL in the game. Josh Palmer was put on injured reserve last week. I mean, that's half your receiver room. Shavers, Davis, and Palmer, which leaves Keon, Coleman, Khalil, Shakir, and Brandon Cooks. And what an opportunity for Keon Coleman. You want to change everything? Step up right now, dude. What an opportunity. The Bills also signed Christian Wilkerson to the practice squad. He's a wide receiver. He was with the Bills throughout the offseason, training camp, preseason, actually had some good flashes. He's a veteran in the league. Thought that was a good move to get him back on the practice squad. Of course, McCole Hardman and Steven Gosnell are also on the practice squad. You have to think McCole Hardman is in line to get an opportunity. And as you know, Curtis Samuel, the Bills have opened his practice window, and it feels like maybe he's been kind of stashed for this moment, where it never felt like the severity of the injuries that he was battling through warranted the time away that he had. But hey, if we need you, we'll bring you back. And it feels like maybe we're at that point. So we'll see where it all settles out. But another receiver out for the year, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal. But football is attrition. And the Denver Broncos, I promise you, won't feel sorry for the Bills that they're going through this. The game's still going to be played on Saturday. There's going to be a winner and a loser. Got to figure it out. Ed Oliver, of course, his practice window has opened. We'll see if he can go Saturday. And then, of course, Jordan Poyer not going to play on Saturday, which is a big deal. All right, let's get into it. The Bills are on the road in the divisional round of the playoffs to face the Denver Broncos. The game will be played on Saturday, September 17th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time at Empower Field at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. You can watch the game on CBS. Jim Nantz on the play-by-play. Got to deal with Tony Romo as the game analyst, and Tracy Wolfson is your sideline reporter. This is going to be the 43rd all-time meeting between the Bills and Broncos. The Bills are 24-17-1 all-time against the Denver Broncos. And they've played a few times in the postseason. Last year, of course, the Bills won 31-7. And then the 1991 AFC Championship game, the Bills won that game 10-7. Carlton Bailey with a pick six, Scott Norwood with a 44-yard field goal, and the Bills beat Denver 10-7. John Elway started that game, but I think Gary Kubiak finished it at quarterback. The Bills enter this game 13-5, of course, the number 6 seed in the AFC. The Denver Broncos are 14-3. They won the AFC West and are the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. They are coming off of a bye, and of course the Bills are coming off of 6 days of rest between playoff road games. Denver started this year 1-2. Then they won 13 of their last 14 games. A lot of gritty wins, a lot of games that were maybe closer than expected for a team that is the number 1 seed in the conference. Bo Nix, their quarterback, has 5 fourth-quarter comebacks this year and 7 game-winning drives. Like I said, a lot of games that were closer than you thought they should be. They had a 2-point win over the Jets, a 1-point win over the Giants, a 3-point win over the Raiders, a 1-point overtime win over the Commanders. They had a dogfight with the Chiefs in Week 17 when the Chiefs were like out of players, but ultimately won 14 out of 17 games that they've played this year. Head coach is Sean Payton. He's 62 years old. It's his 3rd season in Denver. 51-32 so far as their coach. Year 1, they went 8-9. Last year, 10-7. This year, 14-3. So they've had quite the consistency of improvement here in 3 seasons so far under Sean Payton. Of course, 18 years overall as a head coach in the league, a 15-year run with the Saints, has a career record of 184 and 108, Super Bowl champion in 2009. His playoff record is 9-9. Quarterback of this team is Bo Nix, 25 years old, 6'2", 217 pounds, was the number 12 overall pick by Denver in 2024 out of Oregon. 34 career starts to this point. Denver is 24-10 in those 34 starts. In 2025, he completed 66% of his passes, 231 passing yards per game, 25 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions, passer rating of 87.8. And you got to account for his legs, 356 rushing yards this year and 5 rushing touchdowns. We'll dive into his advanced metrics a little bit. His EPA per dropback is 0.05. That's 13th in the NFL. Throws deep, 12% of his throws. That's 13th in terms of frequency. Yards after the catch is part of the equation here, not like last week against Trevor Lawrence. Yards after catch, big deal here. 53% of his yards come after the catch. That's 9th highest in the NFL. Throws to his first read only 62% of the time. That's 25th in the league. Average time to throw is 2.73 seconds, which is 26th. So he doesn't throw to his first read that often, and he holds onto the ball for a little bit. Throws a catchable ball on 73% of his attempts. That's not very good. 26th in the NFL. Turnover-worthy throw rate of 2.8%, which is 17th. 37% pressure rate. That's 12th highest in the NFL. But one thing that Bo Nix is terrific at is he doesn't let pressure turn into sacks. Back-to-back seasons, his first 2 years in the league, sub 10% pressure to sack rate. Number 1 in the league by far this year. And not that his passing metrics under pressure are good. They're below average, but he does not take a lot of sacks. Play action 28% of the time. That's 10th highest. Screens are part of the deal here. 14% screen rate, which is 11th highest. So it's his second season for Bo Nix. They probably wanted more growth than they got. I don't think you will see much snap-to-snap consistency from Bo Nix, but obviously in big moments, he's been able to put it together, kind of figures it out, a dual threat skill set, can run, has a good arm, he's tough to sack, works all levels of the field, but maybe not like the big jump in year 2. I say that, and the guy went out and they was the quarterback of a 14-win team that's a number 1 seed. So I respect the winning that has happened here, but maybe in certain metrics you'd expect there to be a bit of a jump in year 2, considering a lot of the same stuff around him in terms of coaches, good offensive line. Weapons are basically the same. They maybe got a little bit better at tight end. They added to the running back room, but maybe expected a little bit more growth, but they're winning a lot of games. That is for sure. All right, coming up next, we'll talk more about this offense, dive into it, and tell you what this Bills defense needs to do to slow it down. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. You get unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. And Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits will save you hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts at any time will give you real peace of mind. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNFL and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNFL. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNFL.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's talk more about this Denver offense that is coordinated by Joe Lombardi, 54 years old. It's his third season in Denver. He was the Chargers offensive coordinator in 2021 and 2022, the Lions offensive coordinator in 2014 and 2015. He is the grandson of Vince Lombardi, but Sean Payton is the offensive play caller here. Another notable assistant they have is Davis Webb. He's their passing game coordinator, and he's gotten some head coaching looks, of course, some time with the Bills, and he's highly respected. So Davis Webb, Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi offense here. Metrically, they're scoring 23.6 points per game. That's 14th in the NFL. They pass the ball 58% of the time. They run it 42% of the time. And in terms of volume of dropbacks, nobody had more dropbacks this year than Bo Nix. They're 10th in EPA per play on offense, 9th in EPA per pass, 18th in EPA per rush. They convert third downs 41% of the time. That's 11th. They score touchdowns in the red zone 58% of the time. That is 13th. Let's talk about their personnel at wide receiver. The guy here is Courtland Sutton. Player I'm sure you're familiar with, a veteran in the league, big-bodied receiver with really good ball skills, really good body control, can win along the sidelines, can win leverage battles. He's like your prototypical X-receiver. He's everything you dreamed Keon Coleman would be, is who Courtland Sutton is. And Sutton's got a little bit more juice, and he's not a slouch after the catch, but really good X-receiver that can be physically dominant, and a good matchup here with Christian Benford. The opposite guy is Troy Franklin, a player they drafted out of Oregon, time with Bo Nix there. Took a step here in year 2. He's a vertical threat for sure, but also they get him going in some of their screen games. So you got to deal with both ends. He's got speed, but he can win down the field. And he's a guy that can take those screens and create after the catch. Now he's got some drop issues, which of course, if you watched him at Oregon, you knew that. And really Denver as a team has had some drop issues, but he's settling into that kind of number 2 receiver role. Then they have Pat Bryant, a player they drafted in the 3rd round. I think like power slot type player, a bigger body from the slot. He's gotten more opportunity here as the season moved along. And they've got that guy, Marvin Mims, that I have a soft spot for. I loved watching him at Oklahoma. And whenever he gets chances, he makes a lot of plays. Has speed down the field. He can win with the ball in his hands. He's a really good punt returner. And so he's kind of an X factor for this receiver core. At tight end, Evan Ingram is their joker tight end, a guy that'll move around a little bit in line, play from the slot, a little bit from the backfield. It's kind of an important role for a Sean Payton offense. Not quite the player maybe he was a few years ago, like that would lead the league in receptions a few years ago. I don't think he's quite that, but he has a role here. Then they have Adam Troutman at tight end that handles a lot of their inline duties as a blocker, a guy that is probably going to have a job as long as Sean Payton's a coach. And then Nate Atkins is your 3rd tight end here, which is your normal bottom of the depth chart, can do a little bit of everything type player. At running back, they had J.K. Dobbins, who was having a good year, but he's not available. And so they've turned to R.J. Harvey, a rookie, out of Central Florida. He's 5'9", 208 pounds, runs 4.4. And he's got obviously a lot of athleticism and elusiveness. I think he's still finding his way as an NFL running back. I thought he had a lot of work to do based on watching him at UCF, where I thought he was more of an athlete than he was like a true running back in terms of pressing the line of scrimmage and manipulating the second level and really understanding rushing concepts. So he's more athlete than football player, but he's a good athlete. Can catch the ball a little bit too. And then Jaleel McLaughlin has kind of factored back into this offense. He was a healthy scratch for like the first 6 weeks of the season. He's gained more of a role, 5'7", 184 with 4.44 speed. And he runs a little bit more powerful than you think for 5'7", 187. He's competitive. He's got some juice to him as well. And then Tyler Beatty, another Sean Payton special here, 5'8", 197. Runs 4.45. They'll involve him in the screen game a little bit. I think they like him for passing downs as a pass pro guy, but also a guy that they'll involve in their screen game a little bit. So small running back room, 5'9", 208, 5'7", 187, and 5'8", 197. But they're all run 4.45 or better. So they got some speed in the backfield. Since J.K. Dobbins went down, which really was week 10, and so week 11 on, the way that the carries have gone is R.J. Harvey has 96 for 326 yards. Then it's Jaleel McLaughlin, 36 for 187. Then it's Bo Nix, 26 for 152. Then it's the fullback Adam Prentice, 4 for 27. And then it's Tyler Beatty, 6 for 14. When it comes to target distribution over the last 8 games, and really what's been different there is they've ramped up Pat Bryant a little bit, their rookie receiver. Cortland Sutton has the most targets at 59. Troy Franklin has 40. Then it's Evan Ingram with 36, Pat Bryant with 33, R.J. Harvey with 32, and then Marvin Mims at 19 to kind of give you an idea of their pecking order. But they involve 5-6 different guys, and then there's, of course, other players that will get some chances. Adam Prentice at fullback. They got little Jordan Humphrey, who's a big slot type receiver that could play a little tight end, but Sutton, Franklin, Ingram, Bryant, Harvey, Mims is kind of their top 6. They got a good offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Let's talk about that. Their left tackle is Garrett Bowles. Deion Dawkins got this Protector of the Year award in place this year. If I had a vote, I would pick Garrett Bowles. I think he's been the best left tackle, probably maybe the best offensive lineman in the league this year. And he's really stable. He'll be tough to get around for sure. He's athletic, powerful, and really experienced. He's been a fixture there for a long time, and he's a good football player. The left guard is Ben Powers. I think of him as like a serviceable starting left guard in the NFL. Started his career with the Ravens and has been with Denver for a few years now. Their center, we'll see how this goes. Luke Wattenberg is their preferred center. And he's been out, and I'm not sure he's going to be ready to go this week. They just extended his contract. They paid him a nice deal. If he can't go, it'll be Alex Forsythe, who is a 2023 7th-round pick, 428 career snaps over the last 2 seasons. He'll step in for them. And then the right guard is Quinn Miners, certainly one of the best 2 or 3 right guards in the NFL. Physical dude that gets it done. He's a tone setter for them. He's a high-impact guard. And the right tackle is Mike McGlinchey, who I would describe as a serviceable starting right tackle. I don't think he's dominant. He'll give up some pressures, but a guy that's started his career in San Francisco, started a bunch of games, signed a nice deal to come to Denver, and has been consistent for them. Although I wouldn't call him a quality starter, I'd say he's a sufficient level starter. So an elite left tackle, an elite right guard, solid starters at left guard and right tackle. They'd have a solid to quality starter at center in Wattenberg if he could go. And if not, it'll be a depth player in Alex Forsythe at center. So what are my keys for the Bills defensively against this Broncos offense? Number one, you got to get pressure on Bo Nix. You got to do it. We talked about how he's very good at not allowing pressure to turn into sacks, and that is true. But pressure does affect him. His numbers really plummet. He's 19th in EPA per dropback under pressure. His completion percentage when pressured is 45%, which is 22nd in the league. His passer rating is 62.6 when pressured, which is 24th in the league. His turnover-worthy throw rate is 4.2% when pressured, which is 23rd in the league. And his catchable ball rate is only 58% when he's pressured, which is 20th. So, no, you're probably not going to get him down, but the splits of when he's clean versus when he's pressured are drastic. So you got to get some heat on this dude. And you can blitz him. You can do all kinds of creative stuff, which the Bills have kind of learned to do. Some of their sim pressures, some of their spy mirror looks. I think you want to tap into all of it against Bo Nix. Number 2, I know this is real basic, but it really matters. You got to tackle well in this game. The Denver Broncos, in terms of running the football, they're 4th in missed tackles forced per run, even if they're not a high yards after contact team. They're very good in terms of forcing missed tackles, 4th highest rate in the league. Talked about a top 10 in yards after catch percentage. They're going to run a lot of screens. They have the 5th highest rate of throws to running backs. You got to tackle well in this game. And so can't be given bonus yards to this football team. And then number 3, you've got to be ready to defend the outside run. You think about the Bills' struggles last week against Jacksonville defending the run. They attacked the edges, right? They mashed it down and they had speed to the perimeter. Well, Denver's got the same kind of stuff. They have small, fast running backs, and I'm sure they're going to want to kind of attack the Bills similarly to what Jacksonville did. And they are number 8 in the NFL in rushing yards per game on runs to the C gaps or wider. So when you for the gaps, just so you don't know, there's center, guard, tackle. The gap between the center and the guard is the A gap. The gap between the guard and the tackle is the B gap. And then outside the tackle is a C gap. If you have a tight end, then it's the D gap. On runs, C gap or wider. So tackles are wider. They're number 8 in the NFL in rush yards per game, and they're averaging 5.2 yards per carry. I expect a very similar approach running the football that Jacksonville had, and the Bills are going to have to answer the call, set firm edges, get good pursuit to the perimeter, and finish. So pressure Bo Nix, you got to be good at tackling this week and be ready to defend the outside run. All right, we got more to do. This Broncos defense is kind of the identity of the team. I'll tell you all about it and how Josh Allen can score a bunch of touchdowns here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our businesses and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed, and everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal, and it works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this year the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy workdays, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference, and that's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door. With easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great, they're rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease, and it's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit into your schedule. 30-minute recipes, oven-ready trays, or quick lunches. There's over 30 weekly options, including family-sized meals and different dietary choices. Recipes are simple but feel elevated, even restaurant quality, with dishes co-created by chefs like Gordon Ramsay. Everything arrives pre-portioned, so there's less prep, less mess, and no wasted food. It's going to save you time and money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 a month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off your first box free shipping, and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedon. That's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive that free dessert. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about this Broncos defense, coordinated by Vance Joseph. He's 53 years old, third season as Denver's defensive coordinator. He was their head coach in 2017 and 2018 and has 10 seasons of NFL experience as either a head coach or a defensive coordinator. He's had a top 3 scoring defense each of the last 2 years in Denver. His first year in Denver, they were 27th in scoring, 31st the year before that. I think he was in Arizona, but he's been highly regarded in the league for a while, and it feels like the defensive results are really coming here the last few years. Metrically, they're giving up 18.3 points per game. That's third in the NFL. They're fifth in EPA per play, seventh in EPA per pass, seventh in EPA per rush. Really good on third down. They only allow conversions 34% of the time. That's second highest in the NFL. They're even better in the red zone, 43% touchdown rate in the red zone. That's number 1 in the NFL. They do blitz. This is going to be a thing. They're going to blitz. 33% blitz rate. That's 5th highest in the NFL. And they got one heck of a pass rush. Over the last 8 games, number 3 in pressure rate, number 7 in sack rate. And they run a lot of man coverage. 36% man coverage. That's number 4 in the NFL. So really different than the Bills' opponent last week in Jacksonville, where they were modest with their blitz aggressiveness, but, tons of zone. Tons of it. It was 82% zone. Well, that's not going to be the case this week. They're going to play a bunch of man coverage. Let's talk about their personnel. Their defensive linemen. Main attraction here is Zach Allen. I think he was an all-pro this year. Really good pass rusher. Plays like his hair is on fire. Really good at attacking those interior gaps. Not a great run defender, but he's a penetration style player that can create tackles for loss, create chaos, and sack the quarterback. Their nose tackle, DJ Jones. I really like DJ Jones. I've always spoken very highly of him. He's not like a big sloppy nose tackle. He's firm against the run, but he plays really hard. I love his effort on every snap. I mean, good quality starter there. And then Malcolm Roach, they've extended his contract. He's a good-looking player. Not a big guy at all. He's like 290 pounds, but he'll play those A-gaps really well. Firm against the run, has a little juice as a pass rusher. And then they have a guy whose name I'm surely not going to pronounce correctly, Iyoma Uwazurike. I'm sure I didn't get that right. He's a big dude, like 320 pounds. That kind of rounds out their defensive line rotation. They got a deep group of edge players. John Franklin Myers, played against him a ton. He was with the Jets. Now he's in Denver. Really rock solid, 5 technique type player. Firm against the run, power rusher. He's good. They got Jonathan Cooper, who's a quality starter. Kind of your more traditional 4-3 defensive end. They play a lot of odd front, though. But think of that type of body type, a lot of length, a versatile player against the run and the pass. He's a very good pass rusher. Their best pass rusher is Nick Bonito. Bunch of sacks this year, bunch of pressures. He's got a unique build, kind of a dense build. Not huge, like probably in the 240s, maybe 250, but he's got a ton of speed and he's got a ton of flexibility. He can really threaten the edge with speed. Maybe one of the best speed rushers in the league. Jonah Ellis is another one of their guys. They got a lot of guys. Athletic player, doesn't have a ton of length, but gives them a lot of speed, gives them power off the edge, and a very relentless motor. And then kind of their new arrival, if you will, a gem, if you will, Dondrea Tillman. I think he went to like Montana or Montana State, and he's kind of come into this equation and really added something to them from a depth role. So they got inside rushers, they got outside rusher, they got power, they got speed, they got all of it. They're a really good pass rush outfit, and they blitz a ton. So a lot to deal with in terms of pass protection this week. Their linebackers, we know Alex Singleton, solid starting player. And then next to him, it's they want it to be Dre Greenlaw. He's been battling through some type of soft tissue issue. It's either quad or a pec. I can't remember. And when he's available, I mean, he's kind of a hammer downhill. I like Dre Greenlaw, but he's kind of battled injuries of late. And if he can't go, I assume Justin Sternad will get a lot of run. He plays a lot for them regardless. He's kind of had to fill in throughout the years due to injuries, but he's a good blitzer, kind of a do-everything linebacker. That's probably a guy that should start in the league. So they got three guys. I think they would like it to be Singleton and Greenlaw, but Sternard is a good third linebacker that can either ease Greenlaw's workload or play over him if he's not ready to go. At corner, they got this guy, Pat Surtain. A lot of people will tell you he's the best corner in the league. Probably is. He's a technician, really, really good man coverage player, has ball skills. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. His running mate is Riley Moss, and that's a tough job, right? Like, you're the guy opposite of Pat Surtain. That's a tough assignment. And so he gets picked on quite a bit. He's competitive. He's athletic. He's got good size, but, a lot of targets are just going to be funneled towards him as a consequence of being the running mate to Pat Surtain. You got a good slot player in Jaquan McMillan. He's a playmaker. He'll force fumbles. He'll blitz off the edge, tackles well, can play the ball. He's a good slot player. And then their safety situation, they got Talanoa Hufanga. Maybe you remember him from the 49ers. He's a missile, an absolute hammer from depth. Can, of course, offer versatility, but when I think Hufanga, I think a guy that's going to fly around and tackle. And then his running mate is supposed to be Brandon Jones. He's injured. And so PJ Locke, who's been a depth player for them, will step in as the guy next to Hufanga. So they got a lot of really talented players at all levels, fast, physical, aggressive. That's what I think about with this group. And, the main characters, Zach Allen, Jonathan Cooper, John Franco Myers, Nick Benito, Dre Greenlaw, Pat Surtain, Jaquan McMillan, Talanoa Hufanga. They got dudes all over the place. It's a good group. It's a good group. So what are my keys for the Bills' offense against this defense? Number one, protect Josh Allen. I mean, obviously, he's beat up. There's no question. Physical game against Jacksonville. And we just went through this whole inventory of pass rushers they have. It's deep. It's talented. They got a lot of variety and skill sets. They're going to blitz. They can get organic rush. You have to have the right pressure plan. And I'm sure Josh Allen's going to face pressure, and he's going to get sacked. But can you mitigate the loss? Can you make sure that there's 6 and 7 man surfaces when necessary? Can you move the launch point? You have hot routes baked in. What are you going to do here to slow down the pass rush here? I think that's going to be really important, and obviously keeping Josh Allen upright as much as possible. Now, I do think number 2 is a big part of this, a quick game. So balls and passes that come out quick from Josh Allen. Denver's defense is metrically very good. And so when you try to search and dig and find areas where they've had some lesser good moments, if you will, like there are a lot of top 10 metrics across the board against quick games. So passes that come out in under 2.5 seconds, they're 15th. So middle of the pack in EPA per drop back on throws that come out in under 2.5 seconds. They've given up the 10th most yards after catch over expectation on throws that come out in under 2.5 seconds. And so I think this helps you in a number of ways. When you get the ball out quick, it slows down the pass rush. That becomes very frustrating when you're rushing hard and the ball comes out so quick that there's nothing you can do. So I think you want to incorporate some of that this week. And then for as good of a defense as Denver is, they're not a great tackling defense. They're average. And I think you want to test them a little bit and see what they can do in terms of tackling. So the Bills do like to incorporate a lot of yards after catch into their game plans. I think this is a good week to kind of lean into some of that. One note, I'm not going to call this a key, but this is a heavy penalized defense here in Denver. The most penalized defense in the NFL. They have the most defensive pass interference calls. Riley Moss, he'll get penalties. Pat Surtain as well. I think they're both in the top 5 in pass interference calls against them this year. So you got to be ready to force the issue here at wide receiver. I don't know if they're going to be overly concerned about the assignments, but they will be grabby and physical down the field. You got to be ready for that and try to force some calls, but just know that they're going to play with that type of style. They're going to be grabby. They're going to they're going to strain and compete, and they're going to dare officials to throw flags. And you got to be ready for that in this game. Special teams real quick. Their kicker's a good one. Will Lutz. He's been their kicker for the last 3 years. He was with the Saints from 2016 to 2022. 28 of 32 this year, 86% kicker for his career. He has been perfect on extra points the last 2 seasons. 39 of 39 this year, 46 of 46 last year. They got a great rookie punter, Jeremy Crawshaw, already becoming one of the best punters in the league. A great story, Australian punter. I actually had a chance to talk to the punter at Duke. He's Australian. I talked to his parents ahead of Duke and who did they play? Was it Virginia? Duke and Virginia in the AFC Championship game. I went with John Fina, and I got a chance to hang out with some of the Duke football parents, and I had a great conversation with their punters' parents, and they were raving about Crawshaw and like how important he is for this Australian pipeline of punters to the NFL. So I love that that conversation, and he's really emerged very quickly as a top end punter. In terms of the returners, their kick returner is Marvin Mims. Tyler Beatty will be back there as well. Mims, I think, is pretty dangerous, but he's more dangerous as a punt returner. 74 punt returns for his career with a 16-yard average. Did have his first punt return touchdown this year. So you got to be careful dealing with Marvin Mims. And you got to know this about Sean Payton. He's a little crazy. And he tends to have something cooked up, especially in the playoffs when it comes to a fake or something surprising on special teams. So you got to be ready for whatever the heck he's got cooked up for this week. All right, folks, there you have it. My primer on Bills Broncos. Hopefully this helps you get fixated in the right ways about the challenges of this game and the opportunities in this game. We got so much more content this week. Crossover Thursday with the guys over at Locked On Broncos. We got Bills Squad on Thursday afternoon. And of course, my final thoughts, predictions as well ahead of this game on Saturday. So make sure you don't miss anything. Make sure you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.